The Russians reject Zelensky's 10 conditions for ending the war in Ukraine. Turkey intervenes with USA and France. That is, Erdogan of Turkey intervenes with Biden of USA and Macron of France. Erdogan managed to be at the center of the G20 summit, and everyone applauds him for his role in the Ukrainian crisis. It's time to end the Russian-Ukraine conflict, Ukrainian President Zelensky said at the G20 summit, but clarified that Ukraine will not sign the Minsk III agreements. For the Russians, this means that the Ukrainians are feigning peace. Volodymyr Zelensky's words at the G20 summit in Bali, that there will be no Minsk III, confirm his unwillingness to negotiate, Kremlin spokesman Peskov said. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, Putin is not participating in the G20 summit. We haven't heard from Putin since Russia retreated or left, I don't know what word you want to use, retreated, withdrew from Ukraine. Now, so Foreign Minister of Russia, Lavrov, announced that he had brief talks with the French president and the German chancellor on the sidelines of the G20 summit in Bali. They are well aware that Ukraine is slowing down the process of resolving the crisis. Ukraine has banned negotiations with Russia, even at the legislative level, by President Zelensky's decree, Lavrov told European leaders. Meanwhile, initiatives to end the war in Ukraine were taken by Erdogan, the Turkish president, who successfully met with Biden, the American president, of course, who congratulated him on the grain agreement in the Black Sea, and with French President Macron, with whom he previously exchanged heavy talks. Erdogan has managed to be at the center of the G20 summit, and everyone applauds him for his role in the Ukrainian crisis. It should be noted that Erdogan is one of the few international leaders who talks to both Zelensky and Putin at the same time. And these are Zelensky's 10 terms for peace. Ukrainian President Zelensky said it's time to end the Russian-Ukraine conflict, but Kiev will not sign the Minsk III agreements. He said at the G20 summit, which he attended via video conference, "I'm convinced that now is a time when hostilities must and can be stopped." Zelensky added that Ukraine will not agree to sign agreements similar to Minsk III. According to him, Kiev has its own plan for the implementation of the peace formula, consisting of 10 points. Among them are ensuring nuclear, food, and energy security, exchanging prisoners of war, the all-for-all formula, and restoring Ukraine's territorial integrity. Zelensky recalled that Kiev insisted on international security guarantees and had drawn up a corresponding document. He called on the G20 participants to assess the key element of the post-war security architecture in the Euro-Atlantic area, admitting that the main result, according to Kiev's perception, should be the signing of the Kiev Security Treaty. According to Zelensky, Ukraine is ready to sign such an agreement at any time, even this year. The Ukrainian president also recalled that Ukraine wanted to achieve an international mechanism to compensate Ukraine for its losses from the hostilities. Zelensky reiterates the need for a special criminal court for Russia. The world should approve the establishment of the Special Court for Crimes of Russian Aggression in Ukraine and create an international mechanism to compensate all the damages caused by this war. Compensation at the expense of Russian assets, because it is the aggressor who must do everything to restore the justice he violated, Ukrainian President Zelensky said in a video call at G20 summit in Bali, Indonesia. Minsk Agreement and Kiev Pact. The Minsk agreements reached in 2015 were supposed to be the basis for a settlement in Donbass. However, for years, Ukraine blocked the peace process and refused to implement the agreements reached, and then declared the political part of this pact unacceptable while not engaging in direct dialogue with the Donbass republics. So, in other words, Ukraine was the one that breached the contract. In May, head of the Ukrainian presidential office Andrei Yermak announced that Ukraine, together with former NATO Secretary General Rasmussen, formed an international advisory group to formulate a proposal for security guarantees for Ukraine. In mid-September, the Ukrainian president's office published draft recommendations for a Kiev security treaty. Contrary to previous proposals, the Kiev Security Treaty does not foresee either the neutral status of Kiev or the rejection of NATO membership, nor the participation of Russia as a guarantor of the country's security, but the guarantor countries were invited to enter into a binding agreement. This is by Banking News Greece. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.